Book 4, The Quarters. People's always looking for somebody to come lead them. Go to the Old Testament, go to the New. They did it in slavery. After the war, they did it. They did it in hard times, that people want to call Reconstruction. They did it in the Depression. Another hard times, and they're doing it now. They have always done it, and the Lord has always obliged in some way or another. Any time a child is born, the old people look it in its face and ask him if he's the one. No, they don't say it out loud like I'm saying it to you now. Maybe they don't say it at all. Maybe they just feel it. But feel it, they do. The one? I'm sure Lena asked Jimmy that when she first held him in her arms. You the one, Jimmy? You the one? He was born a little farther down the quarters. Surely Aaron was his mama's name. But I don't need to tell you who his daddy was. That don't matter. And yes, it do. Because if his daddy had been there, the cross would have been nearly so heavy. Wouldn't have been nearly so heavy. Oh, heavy it would have been. It had to be, because we needed him to carry part our cross. But the daddy, if he had been there, would have been able to give him some help. But he didn't have a daddy to help him. The daddy had done what they told him 100 years before to do. And he had forgot it just like 100 years ago they had told him to forget. So it don't matter who the daddy was, because he got some out there right now who will tell him his daddy was somebody else. Oh, sure they know who he was, but still they argue and say he was somebody else. Lena Washington was his aunt, his great aunt, his mama's daddy's sister. And it was Lena who sent Sappho up the quarters to get me because it was time to get Selena from Morgan. It was in the winter, grinding, and it was me, Jane Pittman, who helped him into this world. When I took him round the other side and handed him to Lena, she was sitting at the fire crying. That's why I'm sure she asked him if he was the one. No daddy and soon will be no mama, because mama was going to leave for the city to work like all the other young people was doing. I'm sure Lena asked him if he was the one. Lena was the first one to ask him if he was the one. Then we all started wondering if he was the one. That was long, long before he had any idea what we wanted out of him. Because you see, we started wondering about him when he was 5 or 6. I have to say everybody except Lena. Lena started wondering about him soon as she saw him that first morning. I probably would have done so myself, but I didn't have time then. I was too busy looking after his mom on that bed. But I did later. We all did later. When he was 5 or 6, we all did. Why did we pick him? Well, why do you pick anybody? We picked him because we needed somebody. We could have picked one of the Strut Hawkins boys, or one of Joe Simon's boys. We could have picked one of Aunt Lo Boland's boys. But we picked him. It was back there in the 30s. Joe had just stand smelling. We all know Joe was from Alabama. And we all said if Alabama could give one that good, Samson, Louisiana, could do the same. Oh, no, 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 no. We didn't say it exactly like that. We felt it more. In here and there, people never say things like that. They feel it in the heart. In the 40s during the war, we started watching him. I had moved down the quarters. I wanted to move out of the house soon after T-Bob killed himself, but Robert kept me up there to be with Miss Amadine. I stayed 5 years more, and I told them I wanted to get out. Robert told me I got out when he said I got out. I told him at my age I did what I wanted to do. Miss Amadine told me she wanted me up there because I needed looking after much more than she did. But she said if I wanted to go, go. I told them I wanted to go. I wanted to move down in the quarters. They said why move in the quarters when I already had a nice little house at the front. Don't you have a hyphen? They said. I said, yes ma'am. Don't you have electricity? They said. I said, yes, sir. Then what do you want to go down there for? They said. There ain't no hyphen down there and no electricity. Not even a pump in every yard. Just that well side the road. You got anything against good light and drinking good water? Nothing at all, I said. But the house I'm staying in now has been the cook's house ever since I've been here, and probably long as Samson's been here. Since I'm not young cook no more, I don't feel like I have the right to be here. Maybe you don't know it, Robert said, but you ain't been doing too much cooking around here in about 10, 11 years, but you've been doing your share of eating. I hope I have not deprived you of a meal, Mr. Robert, I said. My hand is quicker than your eyes, he said. That's why I want to go down to the quarters and raise a garden and some chickens, I said. I hate to see a grown man snatching food off his own table. Go if you want, go, Miss Amadine said. How you plan to get down the quarters, and where will you stay? Is the house clean? How far are you going to have to haul water? The Lord knows I see no point in you leaving. I must leave, I said. Mr. Robert, is it all right with you if I moved in that house I'd marry? You asking me, he said. I didn't know I was still running Samson. I thought you was. I thought it was up to you to tell me when you wanted to move and where. And it was my duty to go down there and clean up the place for you. To run a special pipe down there so you can have hyphen water. To run down a special line of electricity down there so you wouldn't have to run out to the store for coal and oil every day. I thought that it was my duty at Samson. Is I done missed out on a duty? Oh yes, I think I have missed one. I'm supposed to cut all them blood weeds down there and run them blue runner over in Hawk Yard so they won't come up in your gallery at night and keep you company. If it ain't slipped my mind, you scared of snakes, or have you changed since about yesterday this time? Go if you want, go, Miss Amadine said. Find Bea and May, and tell them to clean up that place for you. I'll get Etney to change them things down the quarters. It was in the war I moved down the quarters. He was 5 or 6 then, maybe 4 because he wasn't in school yet. He didn't start school till that Richard girl came here started teaching. That was after Lillian. Lillian was between Mary Agnes and Vivian Richard. Shirley went to New Orleans soon after she weaned him. And now it was just him and Lena in the house down there. After I moved down the quarters, I spent many days out over in Lena's gallery, and the fire half. But not just me. It looked like all the people met there. Lena had that willow tree in the yard, and it kept shade in the gallery on the hottest days. There was always somebody down there talking to her, and Jimmy sitting right there listening to all they had to say. I think that's how we started watching him, seeing him sitting there all the time. We started wondering if he was the one. No, we never said nothing to him about it. We never said nothing to each other about it, but we felt it. When we found out he count 200 by 1s, 2s, 5s, 10s, and we found out he knowed all his ABCs. We used to make him recite for us any time we went down there. Y'all hear that? Lena used to say, with that big grin on her face. No more than 6 now, and y'all hear that? It made her feel good and sad. Good because he could do it. Sad because if he was the one, he was going to have to leave sooner or later. We used to watch him passing by the road on his way to school. If it was cold and we saw that sweater not buttoned, we would say, "Get that thing buttoned there, Jimmy." If we saw him trying to break ice in that ditch with the toe of his shoe, we would tell him to cut that out before he caught a death of cold in summer. In summer, we used to tell him, "You better stay out them weeds before snake bite you, boy." If we saw him fighting, we chastised him no matter who was in the wrong. He wasn't supposed to fight these here in the quarters. He was supposed to stand up for them. You see, we already had made him the one. When he learned how to read, we made him the reader in the quarters. And by the time he was 9, he could read good as anybody down here except the school teacher. He used to read and write our letters for us, and he used to read the newspapers too. Miss Amadine used to send me the newspapers every evening, and I used to get him to read the sports to me. I didn't care for nothing in the paper side the sports and the funnies. I used to make tea cakes, and I used to give him tea cakes and clabber. And he used to sit there, right there, and read me the funnies. And could go just like Jiggs and Maggie. Go just like Dagwood. See what devilment they in this time, I used to say. And he used to sit right there and read it to me. Then he used to read the sports to me, and tell me what Jackie had done. Jackie and the Dodgers was for the colored people. The Yankees was for the white folks. Like in the Depression, Joe Louis was for the colored. When times get really hard, really tough, he always send you someone. In the Depression, it was tough on everybody, but twice as hard on the colored. And he sent us Joe. Joe was to lift the colored people's hearts. Of course, Mellon beat him the first time, but that was just to teach us a lesson. The shows Joe was just a man, not a superman. And the shows we could take just a little bit more leadership than we thought we could take at first. Now the second fight was different. We prayed and prayed, and he heard our prayers, and at that time, he wanted to punish him for thinking they was something super. I heard every lick of that fight on the radio, and what Joe didn't put on Smellin that night. Just couldn't go on a man. You could look a week, but you could still see the blacks grinning about that fight. Unc Gilly used to come up to my house and lay down on the floor on his back and kick his heels up in the air to show me how Smellin had fall. Up till Unc Gilly died, he was showing people how Smellin fell when Joe hit him. Now, after the war, he sent us Jackie. The colored soldiers coming back from the war said we could fight together, we could play ball together. Not till then would they hire Jackie. And when they got him, he showed them a trick or two. Home runs, steal bases. Lord. It made my day just to hear what Jackie had done. Miss Amandine would send me papers when they got through with it in the front. And soon as I got it, I would send for Jimmy to come read me the sports and the funnies. If the Dodgers had won, if Jackie had done good, my day was made. And if they had lost, or if Jackie hadn't hit, I suffered till they played again. Then I found out Jimmy was telling me lies. He knowed how much I liked Jackie and the Dodgers, and on them days I wasn't feeling too good, he would tell me Jackie had stole 2 bases, when Jackie hadn't stole a 1. Would tell me Jackie had got 3 or 4 hits when Jackie hadn't got near the first base. Then on them days when Jackie got a bunch of hits and stole a bunch of bases, he would take a couple of them back to make up for the others. He had given him earlier. He wasn't nothing but a child, and he didn't know we had already made him the 1, but he was already doing things someone was supposed to do. Side reading the newspapers, he used to read the Bible for us too, and he used to read and write our letters, knowed how to say just what you wanted to say. All you had to do was get him started, and he could write the best 2-page letter you ever read. He would write about your garden, about the church, the people, the weather, and he would get it down just like you felt it inside. I used to sit there and look at him, sitting on my steps, writing, and water would come in my eyes. You see, we had already made him the 1, and I was already scared something was going to happen to him, or he would be taken from us. The summer he stayed in New Orleans with his mama, and we got that ugly boy there of Coon to read and write for us. That boy was as ugly as a monkey, and had ways twice as bad. He had a little ugly brown dog that used to follow him everywhere, and the children here in the quarters used to call that dog Monkey Boy's dog. The dog's name was Dirt, but the children wouldn't call him Dirt. Called him Monkey Boy Dog. But that boy was something else. What was in that paper, that's what he'd read. He didn't care how bad you felt. He'd come to your house and read what was in the paper. He didn't come there to lift your spirits. If Jackie stole a base, he read that. If Jackie didn't steal a base, he read that too. The people used to tell him that old people like me needed their spirits lifted up. Every now and then, can't you make up a little story at times? They used to tell him. He used to say, I ain't no preacher. Let preachers tell them lies. Oh, he was evil, that boy. Same when it came to writing your letters. Wrote what you told him, and nothing else. When you stopped talking, he stopped writing. I don't know your business if you don't know it, he used to say. I come here to write your letter, not think myself crazy. One time I told him, can't you say something about my garden? He said, say what about it? Say it out there? I can say that if you want me to. You want me to say, my garden is still here? Can't you say beans dry or something? I said. I always like to fill both sides of the page when I write a letter, you know. He said, if you want people in New Orleans to know your beans dry, I'll go on and write your beans dry. Don't make me no never mind. It was pretty clear to everybody in the quarters that he wasn't the one. Jimmy was born after T-Bob killed himself, so that meant Robert had already turned the place over to sharecroppers. T-Bob was to inherit the place, but when he died, and they didn't have another son to give the place to, Robert chopped the place up in small patches and called in the people. First, he called in the Cajuns off the river and gave them what they wanted. Then he called in the colored out the quarters and gave them what was left. Some of them got a good piece of land to work, but most of them got land near the swamps, and it grew nothing but weeds, and sometimes not even that. So the colored people gave up and started moving away. That and the war took most of the young men and women from here. After they left, the old people and children tried to work the land, but they got even less from it. The Cajuns, on the other hand, was getting more and more all the time, and they got more, and the more they got, the better plows and tractors they got, and the better plows and tractors they got, the more they got. After a while, they wanted more land. That's when Robert started taking acre by acre from the colored and giving it to them. He took and took till there wasn't enough to support a family, so the people had to give up and leave, or give up and work for the Cajuns. If they left a house that was rotten, Robert boarded up the windows and doors a while. Then he had somebody on the place tear it down, and let the Cajuns plow up the land where the house used to be. That's why coming down here now, you see cane and corn where houses was 12, 15 years back. But they've had many babies born here, and many old people have died here. You hear me? Sappho and them right over there, Claudia and them a little further down, then Grace and Elvira and them on the side Letty of her brood. Corrine drowned one of the Letty children in that well down here quarters way back in the 20s. On the other side of Letty, just Thomas and Elsie, then Coon and he and her drove. Hawk Brown, Gary, and their children right over there. A little further up, Philip, Uncle Octave, and Aunt Nain. Shaw Hawkins and this bunch, then go on the other side and start where I used to live. A little further down, Joe, Simon, and Ida. Harriet, a little further, Oscar, Rosa, their children, Manuel and his family, Toby, his bunch, Bessie and hers, Aunt Fine Jackson and them, Aunt Lou Bolin and her hungry bunch, Billy Red, his mama and daddy. He went to New Orleans and called himself Red Billy, a Frenchman. A little further down, Aunt Gilly and Aunt Sarah, Timmy and Verda, and many more I can't think of right at the moment. But now just a few of us left. Now nothing but fields, fields, and more fields. They don't have nerve to kick the rest of us off, so they just wait for us to move away or die. When I got news for them, these old bones is tired, and that's true, but they ain't about ready to lay down for good yet. I done seen 110 more years, and I don't mind seeing a few more. The master will the master will let me know when he wants his servant up high. Till then, I will have some of them children read me the Bible, read me the papers, and I'll do all the walking I can. And I will eat vanilla ice cream, which I loves and enjoys. Jimmy saw this place changing, and he saw all the people moving away. He saw the young men going to war, and he saw the young women going to the city. His own mon was in that crowd. He saw the tractors come and tear down the old houses and plow up the land, and he saw us standing there watching the tractors. He saw all that. Now he heard this. Heard us on the gallery talking about slavery, talking about the high water, talking about the long. He heard me talking about Claveau and Ned. He heard us talking about Black Harriet and Katie, Tom, Joe, and Timmy. And when the young man came back to visit the old people, he heard them talking about the war. The Japs wasn't like the white people said they was. They was colored just like us, and they didn't want to kill us. They just wanted to kill the white soldiers. If the colored soldiers was marching in front, the Japs would shoot over the colored soldiers' head just to get the white boys. If the colored soldiers was marching in the back, the Japs would drop the bomb shorter. It was this that made them integrate that army and nothing else. Jimmy heard all this before he was 12. By the time he was 12, he was definitely the one. We watched him every move he made. We made sure he made it just the right ones. If he tried to go afoul, and he did at times, we told him what we had heard and what he had seen. No, 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 we never told him like I'm telling you now. We sometimes looked at him hard, but it was in that look sometimes that look can tell you more than words ever can. He tried first there with struck gal Eva, or she tried it with him, because they was both about that age now. And from what people had been saying, she had already tried it with a few others. So now he thought it was his time to try it, or be enticed by it. It was spring, and it was the year he was 12. It was April, it had just rained. Evening just getting dark. Lena sent him to the store to get a gallon of coal oil. We had electricity down here now, but the old people still kept some coal oil for the lamps, just in case something happened to the electric wires. Inside that, they used coal to light fire. Lena sent him to the store that evening to get coal oil. Nobody knowed who said what to who, but next thing, Aunt Fine saw it when she came on the gallery. That coal oil was hanging on the gate, and she was on Strut's gallery trying to throw Strut's gal down. Yes, Aunt Fine said. That's the noise she heard when coming to the house. She said she was sitting in the front room eating supper when she kept hearing the booming noise over on Strut's gallery and keep going. Boom. Then a little bit later, boom. Then a little bit later, boom again. She went out the gallery to see what was making the noise. It was almost dark, but she could see somebody trying to throw somebody down. Instead of pushing her down like it was clear she wanted him to do, no, he was trying to throw her down, picking her up and swinging her over his shoulder. But each time he swung her, her heels hit the floor before her back did. If he had pushed her down like she wanted him to do, Aunt Fine wouldn't have heard the noise, and he wouldn't have got whipped. But no, he wanted to pick her up and slam her down, and each time he tried it, she made sure her heels hit first, teasing him. Aunt Fine said before she recognized him, she recognized the coal oil can hanging on Strut's gate. No, she didn't recognize the coal oil can. It was too dark. She had talked to Lena earlier that day, and Lena had mentioned something about getting a gallon of coal oil from the store soon as Jimmy came home. Now, since that person on Strut's gallery was about Jimmy's size and age, the age to be thinking about doing what this one here was trying to do, she hollered, "Get away from there, Jimmy!" Instead of him moving, he picked that gal and slammed her back on her heels again. "Boy, you hear me?" Aunt Fine said. He picked her up and slammed her back down. "Wait," Aunt Fine said. She set her pan of food on the gallery and started out on the yard again. She said she heard boom again, then again boom. But by the time she got to Strut's gate, the can oil was gone, and nothing but a black streak was headed up the quarters. Aunt Fine came on down to Lena when Jimmy got back home. Lena sent him out in the yard to get her a good switch, and that was the first time. Now he tried it in the loft. He knowed what had happened to him on the gallery, even when he had failed. So now he tried it in the loft. All the children in the quarters playing hide and go seek that day. 20, 30 of them running all over the place. Everybody got found. Everybody but him and Eva. They were up in Strut's loft, and the rest of the children got tired playing hide and go seek. They started playing something else, but him and Eva still up there in the loft. I'll never forget. It was hot that day. Dead in the summer, and we was still sitting on Lena's gallery stitching a quilt. By and by, here come all the children running in the yard to tell Lena they had never found Jimmy and Eva. Where? The loft. A little bit later, here he come. "I hope you got what you went after," Lena said. Now you got something else to get." He didn't ask what. He knowed what. He went and got the switch. "You gonna whip me in front of them?" he said. The yard was full of children now. The gallery was full of old people. Etney was there too, sitting with his back against the post. "You gonna whip me in front of them?" he asked her. "No," Lena said. "Eva will get her belly full soon enough." We all looked at him, standing there with a switch in his hand. It was hot, sweat running down his face. We all wanted him to get the whipping. We didn't care if Eva got it or not. What did any of us care about Eva? We all knowed what Eva was going to turn out to be, and we knowed what we wanted out of him. We didn't say it to him. We didn't say it to each other. But maybe we didn't say it to ourselves. But we felt it. "Only natural," Etney told Lena in Creole. Etney was always taking up for boys, especially for Jimmy. "I don't care how natural it is," Lena said back in Creole. "I did it," Etney said. "All boys do it." "Look where it got you," Lena said in Creole. "You want him there?" "No," Etney said. "You think I like this?" Lena said in Creole. "I know you don't," Etney said. While they was talking, they was looking at him, not at each other. He knowed they was talking about him. He knowed Etney was talking up for him. But he didn't understand Creole, and he didn't know what they was saying. "You want it now or tonight before you go into bed?" Lena asked him. "Can you whip me in the kitchen?" He said. "Yes, come on," Lena said. They went in the back. We heard the licks and her talking to him, and we could hear him crying. We wanted to get the whipping. We wanted him to get the whipping, but after it was over, I'm sure we all wanted to put our arms around him. I know for the rest of the week, we got him to do things just for us. For us, just so that we could give him something. A nickel, a dime, tea cakes, pralines. We wanted him to get religion that year too. The year he made 12 years old. The master started when he was 12. If you remember. We knowed if he was the one. No, not if no more. He was already the one. We knowed he had a fine religion. The color has suffered in this world, and that is true. But we know still the Lord's been good to us. Look at me. I'm more than 110. If it's not the Lord keeping me going, what is? I can sit in the sun. I can walk. No, not like I used to. But I can still move around a little bit. On days when I'm feeling real good, I can go all the way to the road and look out at the river. But generally I just go up to the quarters a piece and sit under my old tree. The people done fix me a clean little spot there, and I can go up there and sit and talk to my tree. I talk to myself, talk to my God till I get tired. Sometimes I stay there an hour thanking him for his blessings. Then I come on back home. We wanted him to get religion that summer. He was 12. Lena told me to go to prayer meeting every night. And every night he went and sat up on the mourner's bench with the rest of the children. And every night they prayed over him. Elderly Banks prayed over him more than he prayed over any others because it was known all around now that he was the one. But all this praying didn't do no good that year. Lena still thought he had his mind on Strutzgal, and she thought the best medicine was a switch every now and then. But I told her no. I told her he would come around. She said when. Then she would start crying. When? Because you see, the rest of the children his age was getting religion, and he wasn't. And he was the one. And the one had to lead in everything. When, she would say. The Lord knows how we feel. He won't let us down, I would tell her. But the summer he was 12 passed, and he was still a sinner. The next year we started on him early. Prayer meeting starts in the summer, but we wanted him in the spring. He was 13 now, and that meant for him to put away his sinful ways. So every time he wrote a letter for us, we had him say something about the church, and something about all the little children who had joined the church last summer. We didn't allow him to play cards for fun, or pecans. We didn't want him to play marbles or ball like all the other children did. If we saw him trying to steal off and do these things, we called him in and sent him to the store. Or we sent him to somebody else's house to borrow some tobacco or some sugar. Or maybe borrow a hoe or get an axe. No matter if we needed it or not, God borrowed it. We didn't want him to go to the fair on Saturday nights. They had music and dancing at these fairs, and that was sinful. We didn't like for him to listen to the radio either, lest he was listening to gospel music on Sundays. When summer got here and the people started prayer meetings at the church, we asked him if he was praying for religion. He said yes. We told them we was all praying for him. When we went to church now and prayed for the sinners, we kept him in mind. We didn't call his name. That wasn't right to the rest of the sinners. But we did it on the sly. We used to say things like, Lord, go with them who don't have a daddy and whose mama gone off to the city. Go with the old people who's left to look after the children, Lord. Make them obedient to the old people, and let them seek thy kingdom for their salvation. In that way, both him and the Lord knowed who he was talking about, and we didn't even have to mention his name. He got religion the first week of August, and that was back in 1951. He came to me that day. I was sitting on the gallery, and he said, I got religion, Miss Jane. Me and Etney was sitting out there on the gallery, and I said, you sure? He said, I believe so. I said, no believing. You gotta be sure. He said, I'm sure. I said, I will hear you talk tonight. He went to the old people that day and told them he had religion. That's what you do. That's what you did in them time. You went to all the old people and told them you had religion. If they couldn't show up at the church that night to hear you talk, you would tell them your travels in. You would tell it right out there on the gallery, or maybe in the room, where you wouldn't be disturbed by noise. When Mac Jennings got religion, he came here and told me he had religion. And now he wanted to kneel down and kiss my foot because I had been a slave, and he wanted to humble himself to me. I said, Jenkins, if you don't get away from here, I'm going to haul you back and kick you in the mouth. Religion raises the heart, makes you noble. It doesn't make you crazy, I said. If I was you, I would check again to see what I really got. Lord, that Jenkins was one more, you hear me. I hoped they didn't push him too fast, and he said after Jimmy went out to the yard. 13 ain't too young, I said. Not if you're ready, and he said. But don't know if he's through with that Strutscow yet. It's cool under them Palmo Christmas this time of year, and from what they say about her, that was her favorite laying down place. I said, Edney, if you don't quit that kind of talk around here, I'm going in the house and find that stick. Come back out here and knock the fool out of you. That night, he told us his travels. Lena sat there crying, and I wept too. But when I got home, I felt better than I had ever felt in a long, long time. After he got baptized, we wanted him to preach. Listening to his travels, we knowed he was close to God, and now we wanted him to pick up the gospel. He told us he was not a preacher. He would work in the church, but he was not a preacher. Now that people started looking at each other, they said, he talked so good, he talked that good, and now he doesn't want to preach? Some of them started having doubts about his religion, but I did not. I knew that if anybody had religion, he did. I just wondered when he got it. Maybe he had it long before he noted he had it, or any of us noted he had it. If he don't want preach, let him serve in some other way, I said. I was the oldest in the church, and they called me the church mother. But I liked baseball so much that they had to take it away from me and give it to Emma. But I was the church mother then, and I said, let him do something else. They said, the one ought to be in front of everything. They didn't say it like that, but that's what was on their faces. I said, let's give him some time. Let's not push him. Not everybody is sent to preach. Some are sent to pray. Some are sent to sing. Some are sent to ring bells. Some are sent to build altars, and others are sent to cut the grass in churchyards. Just because we made him the one, don't let's try to make him a preacher too. When the people saw he didn't want to preach, they wanted to make him a deacon. But he didn't want that either. He wanted to sit back in the congregation, like the rest of us. If a lady shouted, he would help the ushers hold her down. If they had to take her outside to catch fresh air, he would help the ushers take her to the door. Sometimes he would ring the bell if it wasn't there. If just wasn't there. Sometimes he would open the service by reading from the Bible. One time he put on a little play at the church. Not a religious play, a funny play. And the people there in the quarters will never forget it. He got some black shoe polish and some white shoe polish and put it on the children's face and put them up there on the pulpit, saying crazy things. Lord, if the people didn't laugh. People laughed till they cried. Children up there talking like people over on Morgan talk. Yassa, nassa. I's be going now, boss man, sir. Man, you better take yo hand off my Oma. Yeah? Don't you know that's my Oma you're handling there? Lord, if the people didn't laugh. But the people wanted him to preach. And he didn't want to preach. Sometimes me and Jimmy would be sitting there on the gallery talking. And all of a sudden, he would stop listening to what I was saying and start gazing out in the road, like he was listening to something else. One day, he was back there in the kitchen with me while I was cooking. I won't ever even forget it. I was cooking Irish potatoes and cabbage that day. He said, Miss Jane, I got something like a tiger in my chest, just gnawing and want to come out. I want to rip my chest open and let it free. I pray to God to take it out, but look like the Lord don't hear me. This thing gnaw at me, and I want to scream. I want run in the woods and beat my head against the trees. I want go down in the bottom of that river and stay down there. Something in me want to come out, Miss Jane, but I don't know how to get it out. Nobody helps me, not even the Lord. Jimmy told me that exactly a year before that desegregation bill passed in Washington. Maybe we didn't know at first why he had made him the one, but that was the reason. But the people here at Samson wasn't the only ones wanted Jimmy to be the one. Colored all over the parish wanted him to be the one. By the time he was 12, he had traveled all over the parish with Olivia and Tony. Olivia is a lady here in the quarters who sell garden seeds and the cologne stuff, and she cashes checks and do all the shopping for the old people here on the place. When her welfare checks come in, we sign them and give them to her to cash for us, and we do our little shopping. Jimmy used to write down on the tablet what we wanted. Sometimes Olivia had many as 6, 7 people to make the grocery for. Her and Jimmy going from house to house. Her in front, Jimmy walking behind that pencil and tablet. After they had got everybody's list, they would head out for Bailey. But since Olivia had customers along the road, she had to stop to see if they needed anything else. She had been selling garden seeds and cologne and things like that for many, many years, so she knowed everybody. She knew the mulattoes and she knew the Creoles. The Creole gals loved that sweet stuff on them when they go out. You got a lot of them up the road around Bainey and on the Island. Jimmy used to listen to Olivia talk to them. Nobody on earth can talk like the old Creole people can talk. For hours and hours it can go on like that. She said even they used to look at him and say things about him. He is very bright. He will make some girl happy. He will be a credit to his family. He will be a credit to his race. But he must be careful, or the white people will kill him, sure. She said many times she wished he was her own son. Sometimes when they went out and didn't take him with her, the people would say, "Where's your boy there, Olivia? He'll be with me next time," she would tell them. And she said she was always lonely when he wasn't there. Olivia said she tried to show him sales talk, but he was never interested. He was more interested in the people they visited. Even when they talked in Creole and he couldn't understand what they were saying, he was interested in the way the words sounded. Olivia said sometimes when they was by themselves, he would ask her, "Miss Olivia, what do takalapalapa mean?" She would say, "Not for a little boy to know." Other times, if it wasn't too serious, she would tell him. And it was this, going round with Olivia, listening to people talk, listening to us talk here on the place, what was the gnawing in his chest. This was the thing he wanted to let out. No, not out. To let this out, he had to both blind himself and deafen himself. No, what he wanted was to help, but he didn't know how. Jimmy left from here the same year they passed the law in Washington. Went to New Orleans to stay with his mama and go to school. They passed that law in the spring. He left here in the summer. We all went out to the road with him to catch the bus. Lena, Olivia, myself, others. It was a Sunday. A Sunday evening. We gave him a little party that night before, but we still had him loaded down with food. Cake, fried chicken, oranges, going right there to New Orleans. He had enough food to last him for a week. We stayed out there with him till he got on the bus. Then we came on back down the quarters. Jimmy came back home every 2 weeks when he first left there. Then he started coming back home about once a month. After a while, just on holidays, Easter and Christmas. Then we wouldn't see him again till summer. But anytime he came back, the people got him to write letters. Sure, we had somebody else writing for us now, but they didn't write like he did. They couldn't think up things to say, and even when they did, it didn't sound the way he made it sound. We used to give him a quarter for writing one letter, 50 cents for writing two. We didn't have to pay him, mind you. When you make somebody the one, you don't have to pay them with money. You help them when they needs it. Books if they can't buy their books. Give them money if they need to get somewhere. If you don't have it yourself, you go to church. You go to the white people. But you do everything in your power to help him. That you owe him, who you make the one. But the first thing people noticed after he had been away, he no longer cared for the church. I'm not saying he didn't go to church. I'm saying he spoke against it. No, he never spoke against the church. And when he first started coming back, he used to go up there with Lena all the time. But you could tell he didn't have the right interest no more. If he prayed, it didn't have that fire now, like it used to have. It was too dry now, too educated. Old people sitting in the church didn't feel the spirit. They never helped him on. They just sat there quiet, waiting for him to hurry up and finish so somebody else could pray. I used to try to help him, but you can feel a cold church. Quite likely, he didn't feel his prayers either. Just did it because his aunt wanted him to do it. After it was over, he would just sit there dreaming about something else. One time he got up to tell his termination. He tried to say something about the new school law, but the people wasn't interested with what he had to say. They nodded, but they didn't know what he was talking about. When he went back to his seat and sat down, I saw him gazing out the window, sitting there like he was all by himself. The first 3 or 4 years after he left here was the beginning of all that civil rights trouble. These white people had been living like this for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they wasn't about to give up without a fight. Look what they did to that young lady in that Alabama school. Look what they did with them little children there in Tennessee and there in Arkansas. What about that thing they had to kick out the Catholic Church there in New Orleans? Supposed to be great leaders, but who were the bravest? Tell me. Dogs in a pack can fight, but who was the bravest? Answer me that. Any of them braver than Miss Lucy? What a charming young lady. What a beautiful face. What lovely eyes. And them little children? I still remember the little faces looking through the car windows at the dogs standing on 2 feet barking at them. Oh my God. I'll never forget the one with the ribbon in her hair. What a sweet little face, don't you remember? I'll take the memory of it to my grave, just like I did with take this scar on my back to my grave. Custom little children, and still they went. Throwed rocks and bricks at them, and they still stood up. And look how they treated Reverend King. How they bombed his house and jailed him. Supposed to be leaders of the state, and look at them. Leaders my foot. I will, and I do, call them a pack of vicious dogs. Look how they bombed Mr. Shuttleworth's home, and on Christmas at that. I was sitting at the fire half when I heard the news. I said a very mean thing about all the white people, but then I fell on my knees, and I asked God to forgive me. No matter what happens, He's not asleep. He sees what we does. It's all written down. The ones at the front never thought the demonstrations could get this far. Everything that was going on somewhere else. Alabama, Mississippi, New Orleans, but not Samson. The blacks here was counted. I heard Robert saying that with my own ears. Miss Amadine had gotten him to take me to the doctor and Bainey. That bus with the Freedom Riders had just been destroyed, and Robert and one of them was standing inside the car talking about it. I'm sitting in the car listening. That's what you get, what you ought to get when you poke your nose in other people's business, the law said. Well, my blacks know better, Robert said. Heard that, Granny? The law said. I didn't even look at him. Over 100, Robert said. She know what'll happen if they even try it. But not too long after that, they called us up to the front. Hot just like it is today. Brady asked me if I wanted to ride, but I told him I would walk with all the other people. Me and Yoko, poor soul, walked up there together. I had on my sunglasses because that dust out there hurt my eyes. They call me Miss Movie Star anytime I put my sunglasses on, especially Yoko. Hey there, Miss Movie Star, how you feel? When I went by my tree up there, I said, well, Sis Oak, look like another one of them crazy meetings. Yoko said, one of these days that tree gonna answer you back, and you gonna break your neck running down them corridors. I told Yoko, I said, I got news for you, Yoko. She talks back to me all the time. Yoko, dead and gone now, said, now I know you crazy. And me and Yoko just killed ourselves laughing. When we came up to the yard, Miss Amadine came out on the gallery and told us Robert wasn't there, but he had something important to tell us, and he wanted us to wait. He told me to come sit down in the kitchen, but I told her I would stay out there in the yard with Yoko and them. It was cool under the trees, and it wasn't so bad at first, but after we had been there for a while, it got tiring. The children began to fret, and some of the grown people started grumbling. But no Robert. He didn't show up till almost sundown. We went up there at 3 o'clock, and he didn't show up till almost sundown. What's going on here? He asked. Everybody leaving? And he said, you sent for us, Mr. Robert. He said, did I? Oh yes, I had almost forgot. Then he hollered for Bertha to bring him something cold to drink. He didn't say another word to us till Bertha had brought the glass and left. Now let's see, he said. Oh yes, now I know. I just wanted to remind every last one of y'all living on the place for free. You pay me no rent. You pay me no water bill. You don't give me a turnip out of your garden. You don't give me one egg out of your hen house. You pick all the pecans you can find on the place, and all I ask for is half. What I never get. I ask you for half the berries you pick, and bring me a pocketful so dirty I wouldn't feed him to a hog. I don't like. All right, I'll let you all go, but this will not let go. There ain't gonna be no more. There will be no demonstrating on my place. Anybody around here think he needs more freedom than he already got is free to pack up and leave now. But go for the oldest one. That go for the oldest one. That go for the youngest one. Jane, to who the last one had a baby down there. Somebody said Eva, a little boy, Peter. That go for Jane, and that go for Eva's boy Peter, Robert said. We went inside the house, and we turned around and went back down the corridors. Not a month later, Batlow got mixed up in some kind of demonstrations in the Baton Rouge, and some kind of way the word got back to Samson. Robert came down here and told Yoko she had to move in 24 hours. Yoko started crying. She said she couldn't control Batlow. Nobody could control children these days. She said she had been working here ever since his daddy, Mr. Paul, was alive. And one time Mr. Paul said himself, she was one of the best workers he had on the place. Robert told her she had 24 hours and 59 minutes, or 23 hours and 59 minutes, and not a second more to get off this place. When he went back up the quarters, Yoko sent one of the Strut's children to tell me to see Miss Amadine. When I got up there, Bertha told me Miss Amadine had a headache and was laying down across the bed. When she took her headache, I asked Bertha. She got it when she looked out the road with them spyglass and saw you headed this way, Bertha said. Think I ought to wait? I asked Bertha. No use, Bertha said. I'm sure it won't pass till Yoko leave. She talked to Robert at all? I asked Bertha. She talked to him, Bertha said, but his mind made up. Yoko gotta move off the place. I started back down the quarters. Brady caught up with me in the car and drove me back to Yoko's house. Yoko had already started packing. She already knows what the answer was going to be. That night, everybody showed up to give her a hand. When they got through packing, the people sat there talking till way into the night. The day she moved, Brady wanted to borrow a truck off the river to move her. But Batlow said he wanted to use wagons. He wanted to go slow along the road and show everybody what Robert Sampson had done. He had made signs to hang on the wagons. After 50 years, Robert Sampson kicked us off. Black people fate. He had the signs on both sides and on the back of the wagons. The first wagon had most of the heavy furnitures, bed, chairs, stove, dresser. And it had that cliforbo. Yoko hadn't covered that cliforbo glass, and the glass was flashing all over the place. From the time they brought it out of the house till they left the quarters, it flashed all over the place. All over the empty places where the houses used to be, and where the Cajuns got their fields now. It flashed on these old houses and the old fences. It flashed on you too, if you didn't get out the way. The wagon stopped out there in front of my gate, and that glass stayed on my gallery all that time. Yoko was on the back wagon. She was sitting way up high. Batlow wanted her to stay up there to show the people what Robert Sampson had done. He was scared Yoko might fall off, but Batlow wanted her to stay up there. That was one more day, you hear me? Yoko up there crying. We down here on the ground crying. Yoko waving from the wagon, we waving from the gate, and waving from the gallery. Waving like you wave to people already dead. When somebody die and you don't know the hearse, you don't follow the hearse to the graveyard. You stand up and wave them goodbye. Best to wave with a piece of white rag or a pocket handkerchief. A man, of course, would take off his hat and holds it in a respectful manner over his heart. Ladies, they wave, all us waving. Goodbye, Yoko, goodbye. Yoko way up there. Goodbye, Ethne. Goodbye, Lena. Goodbye, Jane. We down on the ground. Goodbye, Yoko. Goodbye. Not a year later, poor Yoko was dead. Staying there with her daughter and poor Alan, and not a year she was dead. The children wanted to bury her at sunrise, where she got people, but we know Yoko wanted to be with her Walter. And we forced him to change her mind. Robert said he didn't care no way or the other long, as she didn't carry no demonstration in that graveyard. The children brought Yoko back there, and she's there side Walter right now. Just go in that last oak closest to the fence. You'll find both of them side by side right there. Not long after Yoko moved away from here, Jimmy showed up at the church. I hadn't seen Jimmy in over 2 years, and he had been back here to see Lena, but I hadn't seen him. I was surprised to see how tall he had got. Tall and skinny. Now his eyes very, very serious. He came up to me and spoke. He said he had just been down there to see Lena, but she wasn't coming to church that day because she wasn't feeling too good. I told him I knowed it because I had had talked to Lena myself just yesterday. I held his hand and looked up at him, and I could see how serious his eye was. He was standing there with me, but his mind was somewhere else. It was Termination Sunday. Termination Sunday is when you tell the church you're still carrying the cross, and you want to meet them cross the River Jordan when you die. You start out singing your song. As soon as you have sung a little bit, no more than a chorus, the church joins and sings with you. You can keep your song going long as you want, if it's a good spirited song, and the church will follow. Yoko used to sing and sing and sing. Father, I stretch my hand to thee, no other can help I know. Then after you get through singing, you talk to the church a little bit. Tell them you still on your way. Then you shake hands with everybody. You can just wave to them sitting way back there in the back if you don't feel like walking back there. Then you got sit down. Then somebody else get up and do the same. But he sing a different song. Everybody got his song, his own song. You better not sing somebody else's song before he do, or sing it better, even after he do. Because you might have trouble on your hand. Sometimes when I don't feel well enough to go to the church, or I want to stay home and listen to the ball game, I can sit on my gallery and tell who's telling their termination, just listening to the song. And in the years I've been living on this place, I've heard of many songs, I tell you. Jimmy was the last one to go up to the front that day. He waited as long. I didn't think he was getting up at all. But when he was sure everybody else had spoke, he got up and came to the front. No singing. He just walked up there. He spoke to Elder Banks first, then to the deacons, to us sitting over there on the side of the bench. Then he faced the front and spoke to the rest of the people. He told us he had come here for our help. He said we wanted. He knowed what was happening all over the South, and it ought to be happening here too. We was surely no better off than the people in Alabama and Mississippi was. He had been to Alabama and Mississippi. He had even been to Georgia. He had met Reverend King. He had gone to his house. He had gone to his church. He had even gone to jail with him. Reverend King and the Freedom Riders was winning the battle in Alabama and Mississippi. But us here in Louisiana hadn't even started the fight. And end up like Yoko? Just Thomas said. That's why I'm here now, Jimmy said. Because what they did to Miss Yoko, I had been telling myself over and over it wasn't time for us to start here yet. Over and over, I had been telling myself that. But when I heard what happened to Miss Yoko, I knowed it was time. Time for what? Just said. For the same thing to happen to us? I don't want nothing to happen to you, Jimmy said. The place where you live, that's what I want. This place gonna be here, just Thomas said. Where we going after they put us off? Don't you have children? Jimmy said. That's the trouble with y'all now, just Thomas said. Y'all come around here telling people to follow y'all, and y'all want to know if they got children to take them in. Just Thomas, not the only person in the church, I said. What are you asking us for, Jimmy? I'm head deacon here, Just said. Then you better ask him what I just asked him, I said. Elder Banks stood up behind the altar and told me, and just don't argue. That's what happens when the devil walks in, Just said. Good Christians fight. He can't defend nobody but the weak, I said. Elder Banks cut his eyes at me to make me shut up. He told Jimmy, you don't come to our church no more, Jimmy. But now you come because you want us to help you? A cause we don't even understand? I don't go to church no more, Jimmy said, because I lost faith in God. And even now I don't feel worthy standing here before y'all. I don't feel worthy because I'm so weak. And I'm here because you are strong. I need you because my body is not strong enough to stand out there all by myself. Some people carry flags, but we don't have a flag. Some carry guns, but we know it would be nonsense to even think about that. Some have money, but we don't have a cent. We have just the strength of our people, our Christian people. That's why I'm here. I left the church, but that don't mean I left my people. I care so much for you now as I ever did. And every last one of you in here know me. Do you think I'll hurt you? My aunt's down in the corner sick right now. But do you think I want to hurt her? But we have to fight. We have to fight. I'm not the only one doing this. I'm doing it. They're doing it everywhere. They told me to come here because this is my home, and they feel I can talk to you better than anybody else can. You don't have to worry about the Samsons pushing you off. If it was just here, they would do it. But it's everywhere now, and to push everybody off would cripple the state. They'll change things before that they let that happen. That's what you saying just said. And how you know the rest of the people gonna listen to this craziness? Because they listened to the craziness Martin Luther King was teaching in Alabama, Jimmy said. Now he's getting smart, Just said. Y'all hear that, don't you? Don't come here but once a year. But now he's getting smart. Oh, shut up, Just, I said. What? Just said. Who said that? That's right, that's you. He always kept a pocket handkerchief to wipe his bald head, keep it from shining all over the place. Now he started shaking that wet, dirty handkerchief at me. That's why they took the mother from you, he said. If you ain't arguing about something you don't know nothing about, you at that house listening to them sinful baseball games. I don't need a mother to serve you, master, I said. Left to me, you'll never get it back, he said. That's all right with me, I said. I don't need to sit where Emma's sitting on my bending knees. When the last time you got down on them bending knees? Just said. I ain't been feeling good lately, I said. That ain't it, Just said. You got your mind on baseball. I bet. You ain't been feeling too bad to turn the radio on. Elder Banks waited till me and Just had shut up. Then he turned to Jimmy. I know how you feel, Jimmy, he said. I was young myself once, and I know how the young feel. But we old now, Jimmy. This church is old. Look at the people here. Where are the children? Where are the young people, Jimmy? Count the ones in here. We got 37 people in here today. But where are the young ones? All we want to do is live our life quietly as we can and die peacefully as the Lord will allow us. We would like to die in our homes. We have our funerals in our church. Be buried in that graveyard where all the people and loved ones are. The man up there owns that graveyard, Jimmy. He owns a house we live in. He owns a little garden where we grow our food. The church where we are right now. He owns this. He even owns the bell that calls our people to the meeting. And the day he tells us to leave, we got to go. And we got to leave the bell and church. Reverend King and his people own things in Georgia and Alabama. We don't own a thing. Some of us don't even own our own furniture in their house. The store and Bainey own it, and they can take the bed or the stove from us tomorrow. Elder Banks looked at Jimmy a while. Then he went on. I'm sure you mean good, Jimmy, he said, but I can't tell my church to go with you. If they want to, that's up to them, but I won't tell them to go, and they have no place to come back to. You don't have a place for them, Jimmy, and they don't have money to buy nothing. What happened in Birmingham, what happened in Atlanta, can't happen here. Maybe something else. Maybe when all of us here are gone. But I can't see nothing happening right now, Jimmy. I can't promise you a thing, Jimmy said. But we must go on. And the ones already working will go on. Some of us might be killed. Some of us definitely going to jail. But some of us might be crippled the rest of our life. But death and jail don't scare us. And we feel that we crippled now. And been crippled a long time. And every day we put up with the white man insults, they cripple us a little bit more. You mentioned you have an old church, Jimmy said, because you want me to see your way of life. Now I mention what we have because I want you to see our way of life. And that's the kind of life the young will feel from now on. Not your way, not no more. But still, we need your strength and we need your prayers. We need you to stand by us because we have no other roots. I doubt if I expect you to understand me this time. But I'm coming back. I know we can't do a thing in this world without you, and I'm coming back. He told us he was sorry he had disturbed our church, and he walked out. Another dead one, Just said. Not if some people keep their mouths shut, I said. Sis Pittman,
Stand up right now and apologize to this church, Elder Banks said. I got up and I said I was sorry, and I sat back down. I looked at Just Thomas all the time I was at church that day, but he didn't have the nerve to look back at me. I wasn't thinking about feeling sorry for what I had just said. That evening, I was sitting on my gallery when Jimmy and another boy came in the yard. I have a bad habit of not liking some people on first sight. I have begged the Lord and begged Him to wipe this from my heart, but it's still there. This one of my worst habits, probably the worst I have, but I can't get rid of it. Maybe the Lord is waiting till that final hour to clear it away. But I didn't like that boy from the start. He was a little fellow, with a big mouth, a long head, a raggedy beard, steel brim eyeglasses like the old people wear. To be all that he had on overalls and a jumper, even wearing clodhoppers. Now, what's all that for? I ask you. It surely didn't make him look no better than he did before he put it on. And it was trying to dress like the people here in the quarters. He was absolutely mistaken. People here don't dress like that on Sunday, and if you do, they gonna laugh at you. Just like them children passing out there in the road laughed at him standing there on the steps. Jimmy came by to tell me he appreciated what I had said at the church. I told him I could understand what he was trying to do, because my boy had tried to do the same thing long before he was born. I asked him if he wanted some lemonade. Mary had made up a big pitcher of lemonade and had gone down the quarters. As soon as I mentioned lemonade, that long-haired boy said, "Oh, good country lemonade." Jimmy went back in the kitchen and poured up a glass full. That long-haired boy sat on the steps in them overalls, just smacking his lips. "Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy," I said. He was sitting in a chair against the wall there, where Mary had been sitting earlier that evening. The piece of cloth that Mary had used to fan the flies was still hanging on the back of the chair. "The people here ain't ready for nothing yet, Jimmy," I said. "Something got to get in the air first. Something got to start floating out there, and they got to feel it. It got to seep all through their flesh and all through their bones. But it's not there yet. Nothing out there now but white hate and black fear. And fear they feel is the only way to keep going. One day they must realize fear is worse than any death. And that time come, they will be ready to move with you." "That's our job," the long-headed boy said. "People in time bring forth leaders, Jimmy," I said. I didn't look at that long-headed boy. I wasn't talking to him. I was talking to our Jimmy. "People in time bring forth leaders," I said. "Leaders don't bring forth people. The people and the time brought King. King didn't bring the people. What Miss Rosa Parks did, everybody wanted to do, but just needed one person to do it first, because they all couldn't do it at the same time. Then they needed a king to show them what was next. But couldn't do a thing before Miss Rosa Parks refused to give that white man her seat." "We have her, Miss Rosa Parks," the long-headed boy said. Then he sipped some lemonade. "They sleeping out there, Jimmy," I said. "But what can I do?" he said. "It's burning up in here, Miss Jane," he said, touching his chest. "I gotta do something." "Talk, Jimmy," I said. "Talk to them." "You mean go slow?" that long-headed boy in overalls said. "Jimmy," I said, "I have a scar on my back I got when I was a slave. I'll carry it to my grave. You got people out there with this scar on their brains, and they will carry that scar to their grave. The mark of fear, Jimmy. It is not easily removed. Talk with them, Jimmy. Talk and talk and talk. But don't be mad if they don't listen. Some of them won't ever listen. Many won't even hear you." "We don't have that kind of time, Miss Jane," he told me. "What else you got, Jimmy?" I asked him. He didn't know what to say. "First you gotta wake them up, Jimmy," I said. "They're sleeping out there. Look around you, Jimmy. Look at this place. Travel over the parish. Do you ever hear anything rumbling? No, things must rumble before they move. The black Jimmy must one day wake up and push that black quilt off his back. Must tell themselves, I had it on too long, but I won't be here when that happens, I'm afraid. You can help us now, Miss Jane." Before I could say how, the long-headed boy in them overalls said, Your mere presence will bring forth multitudes. I was listening to that boy, but I was looking at Jimmy. Me help? How? I said. Going with us. Going with y'all where? When? When we get ready to move, he said. I'm 108 or 109, I said. And what can I do but get in the way? You can inspire others, Jimmy said. Somebody 108 or 109 inspire people? Yes, ma'am, he said. I never heard of nothing like this before, I said. But if you say so, and if I'm able to move, and there will be multitudes, that long-headed boy said. I was getting fed up with that boy. Boy, who are you for? I asked him. Joe and Lena Butcher, he said. They teach her to talk like that? I said. Ma'am? I looked at him. That's rhetoric, he said. Well, I can do without your rhetoric here, I said. If you can't say nothing sensible, don't say nothing. He looked at me for a while, feeling hurt now. Then he sipped from that lemonade. He looked at me again, still feeling hurt. Then he looked at Jimmy. Want Jimmy to speak up for him, but Jimmy didn't offer him any help. Jimmy told me what they had in mind. He told me just 6 of them knowed right now, and I made 7. He didn't want me to tell nobody else, not even Lena. No, she wouldn't speak at the wrong time, but she might start worrying and try to stop him. Do you know Bainey at all? You done drank from that fountain in the courthouse. Use that bathroom down in there. Well, up to a year ago, they didn't have a fountain there for colored at all. They didn't have a bathroom inside either. White, yes, but nothing for colored. Colored had to go outside, rain or shine, and go down in the basement. Half the time the bathroom was so filthy you couldn't get inside the door. The water in the floor had almost come up to your shoes. You could smell the toilet as soon as you started downstairs. Very seldom. A lady would go down there because it was so filthy. They would come back up. They would go back uptown and use a bathroom at one of the cafes. Other times they would go to Madame Orsini and ask her if they could use her bathroom. Madame Orsini and her husband owned a little grocery store there in Bainey. She was very nice. She was very nice people, and I think they called themselves Silicons. Every day goes far as I'm concerned, but they said Silicons, and they was very nice to colored. She would let a lady come in, never a man, and the lady would bring in her child, and that was the only place uptown you could go. Beside the basement at the courthouse, no gas station and no department store uptown will let you use a bathroom. You think the store will let you use a bathroom when they won't even let you let you try on clothes there? You give them the number, they give you the clothes. If they fit, good. If they didn't, that was too bad. You wore them anyhow. Lord have mercy, the poor black done gone through plenty. You hear me there? Aunt Gilly got Brady to bring them a pair of overalls from Bainey. Brady come back here with a pair of overalls big enough for 2 people. Aunt Gilly size. Aunt Gilly got mad at Brady. And since Brady couldn't take them back, he want make Brady buy them now. If the people didn't carry Aunt Gilly's a dog's life in these quarters. Robert Sampson teased him how much the color did. Every time he saw Aunt Gilly in them big overalls, he started laughing. When Aunt Gilly died, Matt Jefferson mentioned them overalls at the wake. Aunt Gilly laying in his coffin, and the people thinking about foolish things like that. I recognize when I am gone, they will say crazy things about me too. The Lord knows I've done some strange things in my time. The bathroom was to be just one thing they wanted to demonstrate against. The hyphen was to be the other thing. The white people had a fountain. One of them white fountains you have in most places. A shiny little thing to drink from. A shiny little knob to turn. Round the corner from the fountain, the colored had a hyphen with a cup on a nail. Everybody was supposed to drink out the same cup, if you don't bring your own. A lot of people used to carry around them little aluminum cups that you can pull open and shut. If you didn't have that or glass, you drink out that one cup hanging on the nail. They had a bucket under the hyphen to catch the water because the hyphen used to drip all the time. A loon called the guard had to make sure the bucket never run over. He was one of the bush, the loony one, Edgar. They made him a guard after that desegregation bill passed there in Washington. His job to keep the blacks at the courthouse from bothering the people for rights. Time he saw a colored person, he broke up there and asked you what you wanted. You better hurry up and tell him or he pushed you straight out. He broke up there and bellowed at me once. I told him he could bellow and slobber all he wanted. He put his hands on me, and I was gonna crack his skull with that stick. He looked at me like I was a loony one there, and he went and bellowed at someone else. Now one of his jobs was to see that bucket never run over. Twice a day he got a black prisoner out the cell and made him dump the water out. You had to dump it out in the white men's toilet so that was just across the hall from the hyphen. As soon as a prisoner dumped it out, the loon made him go back in the cell. They could stand by the front just to scare the blacks. When they came up there seeking rights, always chewing gum, always slobbering. A loon if you ever saw one. Everybody knowed he should have been in Jackson, but they kept them there to scare the colored. Bertha went up there one day with Miss Amadine, and that thing got behind Bertha and had her scampering all over the courthouse, in and out them people office, up and down the narrow halls. Bertha said when she got back to the car, she locked all the doors and laid down in the seat. She didn't look up till Miss Amadine came there and tapped on the glass. Now this what Jimmy and them had in mind. They had picked out a girl to drink from the white people's fountain. This was their Miss Rosa Parks. She was one of the Herbert girls, a Catholic up there in Bainey, and the Catholics and mulattoes don't generally get mixed up in things like this. But the girl wanted to do it. Her own people didn't know nothing about it till after it happened. Jimmy and them had sat for a week after they told it to me. That Friday, when everybody was getting off work, he wanted it on a Friday because he wanted to use that weekend to spread the news. Wanted to use churches and wanted to use saloons. Two girls would be at the courthouse when they saw the people coming toward them. One girl was going to drink from the fountain, somebody was going to cuss the girl or push her out the way, and the girl was going to fight back. She was going to be arrested, no doubt about that. And the other girl was going to bring the news. The reason they didn't choose a boy, they was afraid the loon up there might beat the boy and not arrest him. They wanted somebody in jail because they wanted to march on the courthouse the next Monday. They wanted to show the world what the South would do to a black. Not even half black in the girl's case, just because she wanted a drink of water. I was sitting out there in the gallery the day it happened. Me, Etnie, Mary Strutt was there. Looked like somebody else was here too. No, not Lena. She was home. Who? Yes, Fafa. That's right, Fafa. Because she had been fishing out there in the river, and she had brought me a mess of perches. Now it was getting late in the evening, and she didn't feel like walking all the way to Chinese. And she had sent one of the Strutt's children down there in the quarters to see when Brady was coming back. The boy had just come down from down the quarters to tell Jesse didn't know when Brady was coming home. Then somebody looked up and saw the dust coming down the quarters, and he said that's him now. Fafa told the boy to run out there and wave him down, but the car had stopped before the gate before the boy got out there. Jimmy and that boy in overalls came in the yard. It was getting dark and I didn't know who it was till they had come up the steps. Jimmy spoke and I recognized his voice. First I thought was something had happened to the girl. After Jimmy spoke to everybody, he came up on the gallery and kissed me. "How you feel?" he said. "Fine," I said. "Yourself?" "I'm all right, Miss Jane," he said. I looked up at him, and there in the dark, his old heart was jumping out this old chest. This old heart was jumping in this old chest, I tell you. Then he told us they threw the girl in jail today for drinking from that fountain inside the courthouse. We will meet in front of the courthouse Monday morning at 9 o'clock. We want every black man, woman, and child to be there. Well, y'all done finally done it, Fafa said. Let me go on to Cheney, where I belong. Ain't you waiting on Brady? Mary asked her. Brady might be back here after them Cajuns burn the place down, Fafa said. I'm leaving right now. Fafa had been sitting there on the end of the gallery, had her two fishing poles with her bucket of fish there beside her. Next thing you know, she was walking up the yard headed for Chiney. I just wanted to come down here and tell you, Miss Jane, Jimmy said. I have to be moving on. We have a lot of work to do between now and Monday morning. He looked up at me in the dark. We had a secret, but now it was out. You'll be there? He asked me. If the Lord says the same. No, she won't either, Mary said. Yes, I will, Mary, I said. I'm here to look after you, Mary said. I can't stand by you and let you kill yourself. I will go, I said. And who gonna pick you up when they knock you down and tramp all over you? She said. The Lord will help me on my feet. See what you done started, Mary said to Jimmy. They started a long time ago, Jimmy said, with her leading us on. Multitudes will follow. That long-haired boy in them overalls said. I didn't look at that boy. I looked up at Jimmy. Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy. I thought, the people, Jimmy. You listening to that thing the boy called rhetoric and counting on the people? You hungry, Jimmy? I asked him. I'm going home, he said. I have to tell Aunt Lena. Be careful with Lena, Jimmy, I said. She ain't too strong, you know. I'll be careful, he said. And I'll see you Monday, Miss Jane. 9 o'clock Monday morning. How you getting there? I'll find a way. The Lord says the same. Miss Det still gives her fares on Saturday nights? He asked me. Every Saturday night, God send. I'll come by tomorrow night, he said, and I'll be in church on Sunday. I looked at him in the dark. Jimmy, 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 I thought. Don't listen to the long-haired boy's rhetoric about people, Jimmy. The people, Jimmy, the people. He kissed me good night and left. The dust followed the car down the quarters. You could feel the dust on your skin when it drifted from the road and settled in the gallery. Well, there go Lena, Strut said. And you too, Miss Jane. You go to Bainey Monday. I'm going if the Lord spare me, I said. Why? Mary said. To die in Bainey? I will die in Bainey only if the Lord wills it, I said. If not, I will die on my bed, I hope. Over 108, Mary said. How come they don't pick on somebody 18? The girl's 15, I said. Oh, I see, Mary said. You know about it all the time. Y'all had it worked out where I was when all this was going on. Down the quarters, I said. Well, me, I got a ditch bank to cut Monday morning, Strut said, and I'm sure it gonna make me take all day. Reckon a lot of ditch banks be cut Monday morning, Etney said. You got one to cut, Strut said. Not yet, Etney said. Jimmy, 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 I thought there in the dark. The people, Jimmy, the people. Brady was at Det's house when Jimmy and that long-haired boy came there Saturday night. But the people there was more interested in eating gumbo and drinking beer than they was with what Jimmy had to say. After that other boy had passed out a sheet of paper with that girl's picture on it, they left out for Chiney to visit another fair. Fafa, youngest boy, Henry, was at the fair. He said the people at the fair listened to what Jimmy and the other boy had to say, and some of them even promised to come to Bainey that Monday morning. But as soon as Jimmy and the boy left the house, the people at the fair changed their minds too. By the time he came to church Sunday, the whole place had heard about it. Just Thomas was against even letting him come to church. But Elder Banks told him nobody would ever be kept out of church, as long as they came there in peace. When Jimmy got up to talk, some of the people went outside. Many of the ones who stayed didn't show interest or respect. I sat there looking at Jimmy, thinking, Jimmy, 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 Jimmy. It's not that they don't love you, Jimmy. It's not that they don't want to believe in you, but they don't know what you're talking about. You talk of freedom, Jimmy. Freedom here is to be able to make a little living and have what white folks say you good. Black curtains hang at their windows, Jimmy. Black quilts cover their body at night. A black veil covers their eyes, Jimmy. The buzzing, buzzing, buzzing in their ears, keeping them from ciphering what you got to say. Oh, Jimmy, don't they ask for you? And didn't he send Jimmy? Didn't they ask for you? And didn't he send you? And when they saw you, didn't they want you? They want you, Jimmy. But now you hear they don't understand nothing you're telling them. You see, Jimmy, they want you to cure the ache, but they want you to do it and don't give them pain. And the worst pain, Jimmy, you can inflict is what you're doing now. That's going to make them see the good as the other man. You see, Jimmy, they'd been told from the cradle they wasn't. That they wasn't much better than the mule. You keep telling them this over and over for hundreds and hundreds of years. They start thinking about they start thinking that way. The curtain, Jimmy, the quilt, the veil, the buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. 2 days, a few hours to clear all this away, Jimmy. It's just not enough time. How long will it take? How long could I know? He works in mysterious ways, wonders to perform. But look at me acting high and mighty. Don't the black curtain hang over my window? Don't the veil cover my face? And maybe now, because my arm's too weak to push the quilt down the bed, I tell myself I'm brave enough to go to Baney. But do what in Baney when the last little breeze will blow me down? That night after Ed Sullivan show I told Mary I was going to bed. Her and Albert was sitting out there on the gallery talking. I told her I was going to bed, but I wasn't going to sleep because I wanted to see Brady. When he came home, to I went to my side and knelt down on the bed to say my prayers. I prayed ever so long. Most of my praying was for Jimmy, for his protection. I asked the Lord to give us enough courage to follow him, because it was us who wanted him long before he knowed anything about us. But after I got through praying, I pulled down the bar and went to bed. Summer and winter, I always slept under my bar. Summer to keep out mosquitoes, winters to keep the draft out. Laying there, I looked all at the old furniture in the room. The light was off, so I could barely make out the shape of the furniture. I looked at my old rocking chair just sitting there. You can sit there like you don't know what's happening. But tomorrow, this time, you might be headed away from here. I thought about Yoko and that looking glass, and I thought about the glass on my washstand. You too, I said. You ain't so high class you can't get packed on a wagon. I looked at my old sewing machine, my armory. I looked like they was just as alive as y'all is now. After you been around things so many years, you get to be like them, or they get to be like you. Exactly which way it works, I ain't figured it out yet. Probably never will. I lay there on my side waiting for Brady to show up. Then I heard Albert saying, "Light is turned down the quarters." He went to the gate to flag Brady down. A minute later, Brady was knocking on the door. When I came in, I could smell he had been drinking. I told him to turn the light on. "No, ma'am," he said. "I like to see people when I'm talking to them," I said. "Yes, he said. "Well, no, ma'am," he said. "You've been drinking, ain't you, Brady?" I said. "Yes, ma'am," he said. "And Miss Jane, I can't take you there tomorrow." "Take me where tomorrow, Brady?" he said. "I know you promised him, Miss Jane," he said. "That's why you went out and got drunk, Brady?" He didn't answer. I looked at him standing there, in the dark. "Snap that light on, Brady," I said. "No, ma'am," he said, and he just started crying. "I can't take you out there, Miss Jane." "He did many things for you, Brady," I said. "Used to write for your mama and daddy all the time." "You forget that?" "I'm scared, Miss Jane," he said, crying. "They'll kick me off this place, and I know it. I see how T-Show and them look at my house every time they go by the gate. They're ready to knock it over. And I'm still in there. Mr. Roberts just waiting for a good reason to give T-Show and them." "Brady, Brady, Brady," I said. "I'm sorry, Miss Jane," he said. "You know how I like doing things for you. Anytime you want to go to the doctor, things like that." "Brady, Brady, Brady," I said. "I know I ain't no man, Miss Jane," he said. "Brady, Brady, Brady," I said. "I know I ain't," he said. "I know it ought to be me, not him. I know all that. Go home, Brady," I said. "Go to your wife and children." He didn't move, just standing there in the dark looking down at me. "Miss Jane," he said. I didn't answer him. "Miss Jane," he said. "Yes, Brady," I said. "I swear to God, Miss Jane, I'm gonna make it up to you one day. I swear. I swear to God." "You don't have to swear, Brady. I understand." He looked. He stood there crying now. Crying, crying on God. "Go home, Brady," I said. He went out crying. Not long after Brady left the house, Lena came up on the gallery. I still hadn't shut my eyes, laying there, thinking who to turn to next. The only other person in the place with the car running was Olivia and Tony. I was wondering if I ought to ask Albert to go up there and ask her to take me. Then I heard Lena asking Mary about me. Mary told her I was in bed. "I'm not asleep," I said. Lena didn't hear me because she knocked on the door and said, "Jane, you in there? You wake in there?" "Come in, Lena," I said. She pushed the door open and I told her to turn the light on. She was a big woman, but not well. Her health had been failing her for 5 years. I watched her pulling the rocking chair closer to the bed. I know she had come to talk about Jimmy. I wondered what I could say to give her courage. "You talked to Brady too?" she said. "Yes." "Won't take you either?" "You going?" I asked. "I have to go," she said. "I don't want go. I don't want to see them kill him in front of me, but I have to go." "Nothing's gonna happen, Lena," I said. "They're gonna kill him," she said. I held him to my breast longer than his ma'n ever done, and I know when something gonna happen. She was holding her hand out, looking at the floor like she was praying. "I don't care if I ever use that toilet up there," she said. "Would I care about water? I drink before I go to Baney. I drink when I come back home. That's what I've been doing all my life anyhow." I looked at her. I didn't know what to say. "Why he gotta be the one?" she said. "All the others want it. Why him?" "He wrote letters for us, Lena," I said. "He read the newspapers and the Bible for us, and we never chastised nobody else like we chastise him." "We don't do that for this," she said. "Did we know what we was doing it for?" I asked her. "I knowed I was doing it for. I wanted him to be a teacher or something." "He is a teacher," I said. "You can't teach from the grave," she said. "Jimmy's not dead, Lena," I said. "Not dead yet, you mean?" she said. "I'm almost forced to go up there and tell Robert to stop this from happening." "That won't stop Jimmy," I said. "It won't stop him from getting killed tomorrow," she said. "Look at them other children," I said. "They didn't get killed." "You mean all of them didn't get killed," she said. Uh, and they wasn't at Baney either. The likes of Albert Claveau was not vanished from this earth. We didn't say nothing for a long time. She just sat there holding her hand, looking down the floor. I reckon she had already cried all she could cry. "How you going?" I asked. "I'm going up to see Olivia," she said. "If not her, reckon I'll catch the bus. I'll go with you." "Get your rest," Lena said. "I'll let you know what she says." Albert was getting ready to leave too, but Lena got Albert to walk up the quarters with her. About an hour later, she came back and told me Olivia said she would take us. "She don't mind if they put her off the place?" I asked. "She done saved up a few dollars," Lena said. Mary got up the next morning, just after sunup, and told me if I was going to Baney with her, I better get up and get myself ready. I asked her when did she make up her mind to go. She said she made up her mind when she saw nothing was going to keep me from going. "Who was going to look after me when they knocked me down?" I said the Lord. She said the Lord might be busy helping somebody else, but it wouldn't look right for him just to drop that person and come help me. I got up and and said my prayers. After I had pushed back my bar, I made up my bed. I went in the kitchen to have coffee. "You better eat something solid," Mary said. "You might have to do some fast shuffling." "You can give me a biscuit with my coffee," I said. "I mean grits and eggs," Mary said. "When you fall, I want to make sure it's a billy club, not hungriness." "Don't give me too much," I said. Mary had opened the back door and cool air came in. I looked out at the sun, orange in color on grass. Usually, I like this time of day, the freshness, but today I felt something funny in the air. My heart was jumping too much. I wasn't scared I might get hurt. When you get to be 108 or 109, You forget what scared is. I felt something funny in the air, but I didn't know what it was. I just sat there looking at the grass, and I could remember the times when I used to bend over and run my hands in the dew. But of course, that was a long time ago. Now all I can do is walk in sometimes, and got to be careful doing even that. Air feels funny, I said. How do funny air feel? Mary said. Just feel funny, I said. Mary brought the food to the table and sat down across from me. I know I caused you trouble, I said. Don't start that, Mary said. You don't cause me no trouble. You don't have to go, Mary, I said. Staying on this place don't mean that much to me, she said. Where are you going if they put you off? I asked her. I don't know, she said. Probably be somewhere close around you. Everything I own is yours when I die, I said. Don't try to pay me, Miss Jane, she said. I was brought up too good for that. I'm not trying to pay you, I said. But I love you as much as you love me. And that's all I have to give. I want you to have my all. And I have your love and your respect. And that's enough, she said. I want you to have my rocking chair and my sewing machine, I said. All right, Mary said. But they'll have to kill me first. Then somebody else can get everything. I didn't mean today, I said. That's right. Today we secured, Mary said. I wonder what we gonna do to turn them back. Sing? Then maybe a little clapping, I said. Well, I got a feeling them things in Bainey gonna want more than just spirituals today, Mary said. Lot more. You feel death in the air too, Mary? I said. Mary felt death just like I felt it, but she didn't want to answer. She got up and washed the dishes. Then she swept out the kitchen. Lena called for us around 8:30. Mary helped me on with my sweater, and I found my walking stick and went out in the gallery. The place was quiet, the way it was on Sunday nights when you don't have church. I leaned on Mary till I reached the ground. When we came in the road, there was Etney standing there with his best clothes. Well, Etney, I said. Miss Jane, she said, tipping his hat. He said, tipping his hat. I looked at him and nodded. I was very proud of Etney. Just the four of us started up the quarters to Olivia's. It was cool, and the dust road was cool and soft. The sun hadn't come above the trees yet, and the shadows from the trees and the crop was on the road, and I could see where the drops of water had dripped from the weeds hanging from the rim of the road. We had been walking quietly up all the while, but just before we came up to Strut's house, Etney looked back and said it looked like somebody else was coming back that way. The person was too far for me to make out who it was. All I could see was a dark form in the white dust. We hadn't gone much further when Etney and I looked like 2 or 3 more people was coming this way. I looked back again. I still couldn't recognize them. Just dark forms in that white dust. Before we got to Joe Simon's house, I looked back, and this time, I stopped and leaned on my walking stick. This time, it was not 1 or 2, it was many. They was not marching, they was not hurrying. It didn't look like they was even talking to each other. But they was walking, like every last one of them was by himself, and any little noise could turn him around. But the longer I stood there, looking, the more I saw coming towards me. Men, women, children. I couldn't recognize who they were from way down here, but I could tell dresses from pants, and I could tell grown people from children. Not everybody in the quarters was heading that way. Brady's car was still down there. Probably half the people was still down there, but the number of people I saw coming towards me was something I never would have dreamed of. I wouldn't have believed nobody if they told me this would happen. This could happen. I stood there watching them, thinking, Jimmy, 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 Jimmy. Look what you've done. Look what you've done. Look what you've done, Jimmy. We came up here and looked all around us. Most of them was scared that they wasn't ashamed to show it. But they was standing there, and that's what mattered. And I felt like telling each one of them, thank you, thank you, thank you. I told myself I got to the courthouse. I was going up to Jimmy and say, Jimmy, look at your army from Samson. Did you think they was going to show up? And he was going to look at me in that sad, sweet way and say, sure, I knowed they wasn't going to let me down. I looked at them all there, and I was so happy I started crying. Mary saw me crying, but they didn't say nothing to me because they knowed it was from joy, not sorrow. Olivia came on the house and saw us there, and said she was sorry she wouldn't be able to take nearly half that many. The people said they would catch the bus,
and tell Jimmy don't start till they got there. Olivia asked them if they all had money. They had forgot about money. Olivia told them wait. She was going back in the house to get her pocketbook. But just as she turned to get back inside, Robert Sampson drove his car down the quarters. I heard Lena scream and I saw her running heavy, straight toward the car. Mary and Olivia had Marley Ann went after her and pulled away. She screamed and tried to get away from them. Robert got out the car and looked at us all standing there. Go back home, he said. What happened to my boy? Lena asked him. What happened to my boy? Go back home, Robert said. What happened, Mr. Robert? Annie asked. Robert was looking at Lena, and I could tell something bad had happened. No, Lena screaming. No, Lord, no. Take her home, Robert said. We got a right to know, Mr. Robert, Annie said. Where's my boy? Lena asked Robert. I want to see my boy. You'll see him tomorrow, Robert said. I'll take you there tomorrow. Is he dead? Annie asked. They shot him 8 o'clock this morning, Robert said. Then she fell. Even with Mary holding and them holding up her, she fell. They picked her up and took her inside the house. Who shot him? Edney asked. Who knows? Robert said. Somebody knows, Edney said. Somebody always knows, Mr. Robert. Well, I didn't shoot him, Mr. Robert said. I didn't know nothing about it till they called the house. He stood by the car looking at us all standing there. Go back home, he said. You mean get off, don't you? I said. I mean go on back home, he said. I'm going to Baney. Me, Shrut's boy said. I'll follow, Alex, I said. Them who want to go to Baney, let's go to Baney, Alex said. Let's go to Baney, even if we got to come back here, do nothing. What do you think you're gonna find in Baney, boy? Robert said. Jimmy, Alex said. Jimmy's dead, Robert said. Didn't you hear me say Jimmy was killed at 8 o'clock? He ain't dead, nothing. Alex said. You know better, Robert said to me. Just a little piece of him is dead, I said. The rest of him is waiting for us in Baney. And I will go with Alex. Some of the people backed away from me when I said this, but the braver ones started for the road. They had forgot about the bus fare again, and since I didn't have enough money for everybody, I sent one of the children back to the house to Olivia. She came back with a $10 bill and said Olivia said she would be up there later. I stuck the money in my pocketbook. Me and Robert looked at each other there a long time. Then I went by him. That is the end of the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman.